I'm Darcy Ziegler, and I am a reading teacher. I specialize in helping people that have dyslexia, and I teach online. The reason I got started in doing this is because I used to teach kindergarten, and I thought I knew how to teach reading until I quit teaching to stay home with my own kids when they were born. But when it was time for them to learn to read, especially my oldest, she really struggled to learn how to read. And I realized I was doing all the same things that I had done with my kindergarten kids. And they had all learned to read. Almost all of them had learned to read, the simple words that you start learning in kindergarten and first grade. And I didn't think it was that hard. But with my own daughter, it was so hard that's how I got started in learning about dyslexia. And so after my kids were older and they went off to college, I decided to go back to college myself and got a degree specializing in dyslexia. So now I'm an online reading tutor. And I decided to make some videos to help you if you're trying to teach your kid to read and you're wondering why it's so hard. Today's video is going to be about alphabet knowledge. Alphabet knowledge is one of the two biggest predictors of reading success. The two biggest predictors are phonemic awareness and alphabetic knowledge. And my last video was about phonemic awareness. So if you're interested in that, listen to the other video. So alphabet knowledge is what we're going to talk about today. A lot of people, most people teach their kids the alphabet song. I mean, they just learn it. The alphabet song is everywhere on, kids programs and stuff, and kids learn to sing the alphabet song. And then we think, wonderful, your alphabet, and we're all proud of them, which is wonderful. We should be. But a lot of times we don't realize that they really don't know their alphabet well. We think they do, and they don't. I just got to tell you a little story about me, a little story on me. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I remember playing in the backyard with one of my friends, and her name was Elena. And we were swinging on the swing set, and we thought we were going so high, and then we would jump out of the swing, and we were having a great time. But my friend, Elena, when she would jump out of the swing, she would say, L-M-N-O-P! And I had no clue what she was saying every time, L-M-N-O-P! And I thought, what is she saying? And so I just didn't recognize that word. So I asked my mom that night, I said, Mom, is it okay to say L-M-N-O-P? What does that mean? Is it a bad word? And my mom had to tell me that was part of the alphabet, L-M-N-O-P. But when she was saying it all fast like that, L-M-N-O-P, I didn't recognize it. And I probably said it fast when I sang the song, but I didn't recognize that part of the alphabet. I didn't recognize that it was part of the alphabet. And a lot of times, there's things like that. A lot of times kids don't know those words those letters. We say them so fast, it sounds like a word, L-M-N-O-P. And they don't know which one is each individual letter. And there's a lot of letters that kids will get mixed up. So we're going to talk about that in this video. But first, let's talk about the things that kids need to know about letters. Kids need to know a lot about the alphabet. They need to know the name of every letter, and they need to know the sound of every letter. They need to know the shape of every letter, like what does it look like, and they need to connect all of that stuff. Like, they need to know which shape goes with which letter and what sound goes with which letter. And sometimes they don't have that. Now, one thing you can do to test your kid, don't just have your kid repeat the alphabet to you. Instead, one thing you could do is buy some of these plastic letters that they're fridge magnets. They're just letters that have magnets on the back. Buy some magnets and just, I got these at Walmart, and just dump them out on the table and have your kid put them all in order. And see if your kid can do that. That's a really interesting thing to watch, because a lot of times they start out, they find the A, the B, they're saying the alphabet as they go along, and it's interesting to see how many times they have to start over, because once they get, like if they get to, you know, P, and then they want the next letter, they don't remember which letter it comes next until they start at A and say it all the way through and then find the Q. Anyway, but you'll be interested to see how when they get all their letters all lined up, they may be like, there's some extra ones, and they won't know where to put them. And see if they know what's the name of that extra one. What is that letter? What's the name of it? And where does it go in the alphabet? That's just a little interesting thing to check how well they know it. And it's a good way to help them with alphabet knowledge and alphabetizing, to have them do that. I mean, you could have them do it every day for a long time. Also, another thing that you can do is once they have their alphabet, they know it pretty well, let them leave those letters out so they can look at it while you do this. But make some flashcards for them and have them say this out loud, R-S, and see if they know what's next. And you're leaving them out on the table so that they can look down there and see, oh, I need the T next, R-S-T. And this is a really good, go through the whole alphabet like this. And you'll be interested how, I mean, sometimes kids are like hesitating to say this out loud because they don't remember what's the name of this. If they don't start at A, they can't just start right here and think, I don't remember what the name of that is. So this is a really good, and you can make other flashcards then after that. I mean, after they get good at this whole set, you can make a set that where the middle letter is missing, or a set where the first letter is missing, and just practice some more with the alphabet. Now, some of the letters, I'm going to tell you about some of the letters that often get confused. Because, my daughter mixed all these letters up, and I thought it was so strange. And now I realize that it's pretty common. So I'm going to talk to you about this. Everybody knows that kids always get B and D mixed up. Kids get that mixed up. And that is not even something that we worry about until the kid is in about second grade, after they've had 2 years of formal education. So 2 years of somebody telling them, no, that's backwards, this is how we make the D, that's how we make the B. After 2 years of that, they should have it figured out. But before that, if they mix it up, we're not worried about that. But there are other letters that kids get mixed up, and sometimes they need a little help from us to help them to realize which one is which. And so I'm going to talk about those right now. The B and D confusion, that could be a whole nother video. So I don't want to spend too much time in this video on it. But if you're interested in it, I could make another video on helping kids get unconfused about B and D. If you're interested in that, leave a comment in the comments down below. But for right now, I'm going to talk about other letters that kids also mix up. So one of the things that kids often mix up is M and N. I was surprised when my daughter mixed this up, but M and N are right next to each other, and they look very similar. M, N. I was always like, why are you mixing this up? But they sound a little bit the same, and they look a little bit the same, so you need to spend a little bit of time talking about, I always say the M has 2 humps, and the sound is like we would say with, like, let's say we made muffins, and they were good, and you wanted to eat another one. You wanted 2. because they're so good. Good. That's how I always try to help them remember. You want two of them. And there's two humps on the M, and the N is only one hump. Another thing that kids mix up is T and F. You might be surprised about that. I was certainly surprised. I thought, why is my kid mixing up T and F? But then I realized that often it depends on the font. T sometimes has that little, it's called a serif, that little thing on the bottom. And that just looks exactly like an upside down F. Doesn't it? It looks like an upside down F, and they will mix this up. So it's best not to have a font with a serif on it. Then it's not so confusing. But they need to know that there's different fonts, and they need to be able to recognize T's and F's and all the other letters, no matter what the font is that they're reading in. So you might want to have a little conversation with your kid. I mean, if you notice that your kid is mixing them up, you can talk about it and talk about how this is a T. The little, some people or some fonts have a little serif on the bottom, but it's on the bottom with the T, and it's on the top with the F. So that should help them quite a bit with that. Some of the letters sound a lot alike. My daughter got K-A mixed up because they sound a lot alike, don't they? And that K sound is unvoiced, so it wasn't easily heard. So we just have to point out and spend a little bit of time talking about what it looks like, what it sounds like, whether it's voiced or unvoiced, and how long does that sound last. Another thing that we really need to think about is the sound of each letter. A lot of people try to put the sound on the end of a lot of words. I mean, a lot of letters. They will say after each sound. For example, B. The letter B says B. It does not say ba. It says B. Like if you're learning to read and you are reading the word book, let's say, you don't say ba-uk, you say b-uk, book. And you don't say ba-oy, boy, you say b-oy. It's a short sound, it's a stop. It doesn't keep going. And so you need to be careful when you're teaching your kid the sounds of the letters that you don't put on the end of it. It's not on the end of any letter. For instance, M. M, you keep your mouth closed and you say you don't say ma. You don't say that. You just keep your mouth closed. Hey, this video is not a video where I'm going over all of the sounds. I'm just talking about how important it is that your child knows the name of the letter, the sound of the letter, the shape of the letter. And if you are thinking, I'm not sure if I'm saying all the sounds right, and you're wishing that I would make a video that would tell all the sounds, then put a comment make a comment down in the comments below and say, hey, make a sound video that has all the sounds of every letter of the alphabet. And I'll do that for you in the future. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and ask you to, if you're still here, please click the like button and subscribe as well. Thanks.